From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer, on the board. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Glad to have you along with us for another afternoon here at the World Headquarters in downtown Madison. Overcast skies, maybe on the other side of the smoke, there's sunny and blue, but the wildfires, both to note, in western United States and Canada, not just one country, too. Wildfire smoke continues to push into the Badger State, apparently breaking up in some parts a little bit more than others. My voice is a little off, though, still, Zommers.
But your hairs are nice and trimmed.
I went and saw Lizzie last night, and she asked me, she said, "Have you been wearing your hat lately?" And I said, "Yeah, but I was at a Brewers game, and then I was kayaking over the weekend and stuff." Yeah, she says, you might want to wash the hat because there's a little bit of a breakout of that to do. Really. And so this is, and my mom will appreciate this because she gets very disappointed in me because I wear a baseball cap for too long, and it gets sweaty and has sweat stains. She goes, "That looks terrible." But I said, it's comfortable to wear once you break it in. Now, right. I'm not as bad as Brett Favre, the old Packer quarterback. He used to wear his until they were literally falling apart. And so the problem is that I have one, you've seen it 100 times. It's my Brewer hat that I got down there at Miller Park a few years ago. I love it because it's the trucker hat that's kind of mesh in the back, and then the front just has the glove Brewers logo in front embroidered. And it's blue behind that. And I've been trying to find a replacement for that combo and I haven't found it. And I don't know what hit me this morning. I guess after Lizzie told me I needed to do something about my hat. Of course, I went online, Amazon.
Yep, that'll do it. Although
so it'll be here Thursday, a brand new baseball Brewers cap.
There is something to be said for keeping your old sports hats, though. My roommate Elliot, big Cubs fan, he has a brand new Cubs hat and one that is so washed out and old and worn up. He was wearing that one to a game, and some player came up and was like, "Oh, you're a real fan," and tossed him a ball.
Really?
Because his hat was so worn in.
Right. See, and also you don't want to do your part to jinx anything. And the Brewers are hot right now. They got another big win last night. We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show. Hottest team in baseball, best record in baseball, 3 full games now. The Brewers are ahead of the Chicago Cubs. So that's in the National League Central. So that is fantastic. The Brewers again get underway again tonight on many of these stations along the Milwaukee Brewers radio network of Civic Media. You can hear the game over the air on terrestrial radio. Not allowed to stream it on the Civic Media app, but you can catch the Brewers a little bit later on this afternoon. We'll give you the full details of that game and where to catch it and when, all that a little bit later in the show. And we're going to play that cut, Zommers helped me to remember, of Logan Henderson, who was called up over the weekend on Sunday, and then they say you got to get to DC to pitch because the Mizorowski got a little contusion, i.e. a bruise on one of his shins from getting hit with a ball on last Monday. And so he tried to find a flight. No flights available from wherever he was. He was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And so his parents were there watching him, and they ended up driving him to his start in D.C. It's really cool. So we'll talk a little bit about the surging Milwaukee, red hot Milwaukee Brewers a little bit later on in this hour. Also coming up at the bottom of this hour, Kyle LaFond, founder and president and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing and American Province. He is a member of the Main Street Alliance. Going to be talking to us about what it's like, these Trump tariffs, once again going into effect here in a few days, what it's like for a Wisconsin business owner. We hear a lot of this in national news being spun by both sides. Well, we're going to talk about our real business owners and find out what it's like. So we're looking forward to that. And also, I believe he's on the Wisconsin PBS board. I'll double check that, but we'll talk a little bit about that. Those cuts to the National Corporation of Public Broadcasting that we discussed last week as well. So looking forward to the discussion with him. And in hour 2, our What's Worse for today, grocery store edition. Tomatoes, store-bought tomatoes, or non-dairy milk. What's worse? In hour 2, don't call on that yet. We'll take your calls on that in hour 2. Now, tomorrow, we are going to be on the road once again, this time from the shores, the banks of the Mississippi, and also perhaps the Black River. Going to be in La Crosse tomorrow. Looking forward to that, covering the Leader Ethics Forum on fusion voting. And look, I know that a lot of this stuff is confusing. It's confusing sometimes for me, a person who tries to follow this every day. So we're going to break it down because Leader Ethics, a bipartisan group, is going to be hosting a forum in La Crosse. By the way, if you want to attend in person, you're welcome to do so. It is a 1-hour program starting at 12:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. It'll be at the Black River Beach Neighborhood Center in La Crosse. There is no fee for attendance, absolutely free, but you must register in advance. To register, go to leaderethics.us. Zommers has it on the screen for those watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Leaderethics.us. And you can register there beforehand. Zommers also put the information in the show notes. So we're going to be there tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Lee Rosh is going to be on this program, the executive director of Leader Ethics, also a plaintiff in the legal suit to reestablish the legality of fusion voting based upon conditions of the Wisconsin state constitution. He is a member of the United States, a member of United Wisconsin, this great group that's bringing the discussion back on fusion voting. So Lee Rosh will be with us. He was also the president of Western Wisconsin Technical College for a number of years. Former Democratic sheriff of Dane County, Dave Mahoney, will be on the program. One of my former bosses, former Republican Wisconsin State Senator and Majority Leader Dale Schultz, will be there, be on the show. And Christine Andrews, the executive director of United Wisconsin, as well as Rusty Cunningham, who is a former publisher and executive editor with the La Crosse Tribune and River Valley News. He is going to be moderating the program tomorrow. If you can't make it to La Crosse and you still want to check it out, watch it, you can do so by watching a free stream. Again, the website is Leader Ethics. Leader Ethics, all one word. It's 2 words, but for this purposes, for the website, it's all one. Leaderethics.us. You can watch the live stream tomorrow from 12:30 to 1:30, and then join our program from 2 until 4. We'll be discussing with all the aforementioned people. We'll break down, tell you what fusion voting is and why it's important to Wisconsin, and how it could actually help bring about some stability, how it could actually give voice to both Republicans and Democrats, and find some sort of commonality here. So looking forward to the program tomorrow. And also on the program tomorrow, Brian Van Hooker from cracked.com with a little bit of lighter information as well. Who knows? Maybe we'll go fishing, Zommers, if we're along the banks of the Black River.
Maybe you will. Fishing for snakes?
No. Be no fishing for snakes tomorrow. So looking forward to our fusion voting program tomorrow. Also coming up a little bit later here, not hearing a lot about this, are we? From Reuters, the Trump administration formally axes Elon Musk's 5 things email. What? It turns out they didn't think it was such a good idea. They're quietly just letting that go away.
Yeah, just like they're attempting to quietly let Elon himself go away, but
very quietly indeed. And we're going to get to what's happening in Texas as well. Some new audio there. The Democrats leaving the state, so far successful in stopping the Republican governor, Greg Abbott, from changing the maps for Congress to help Donald Trump pick up 5 seats in the next election. We'll talk a little bit about this. But I want to start here. Was on the wonderful program this morning, Matt Nair on Air with Jane McNair and Greg Bach, they brought this up, and look, I think it's just interesting as a person who enjoys politics. Former Republican Governor Tommy George Thompson was on WTMJ in Milwaukee this morning, and Tommy was asked whether or not, hey, you know what, the governorship is going to be a wide open seat in 2026. And we talked about this before his hours. The late, great Democratic Senator Tim Cullen of Janesville. He taught me years ago. He said, Todd, anytime a politician is asked a question, anything other than no is a yes, and anything other than yes is a no. So if you say, Governor Thompson, do you plan on running for governor? He literally said, quote, I haven't said no.
Wow, that's pretty direct. Yeah.
Tommy says he hasn't said no to running for a fifth term as governor. Of course, he did not finish his fourth term because he was selected by George W. Bush to be the Health and Human Services Secretary of the United States.
That's, usually what Tim Cullen meant is reading between the lines to see, but he just pretty directly said, right. Well, yeah, I might.
Right, pretty much. So we were talking about this on Matt and Aaron Air this morning with Jane and Greg. And because they had discussed it for a half an hour, took calls, it was great. And then I came on and we spent the better part of 45 minutes discussing Tommy Thompson across the Civic Media Radio Network. And I said towards the end of the discussion, I said, I'll tell you this. Tommy Thompson is elated that if he heard this broadcast and now ours, we're only adding to it. He's looking at people saying, you know what? All I had to do is say I won't say no, and these people are giving me more airtime than the goddamn people who are actually announced.
Very true. Very true.
I think Tommy loves it. Tony, watching on YouTube, says, my first thought when I heard Jane and Greg talk about this was, I bet Todd has some thoughts on this. Well, look, to cut to the chase, I don't know anything. I'm not an insider anymore on the Republican side of the aisle, although I have some people that talk to me. My gut tells me that former Governor Thompson, will not run for another term. He's 83 years old.
Yeah, that'd be pretty rough.
I mean, look, he says, look, I'm in great shape. I'm in great health, mentally and physically.
Well, yeah, and if you are, I imagine you'd want to spend that time just doing stuff you enjoy, spending time with your family.
Well, he's back on the farm. I mean, he and the First Lady, Suann, I think, did a little addition up there to the farm in Elroy, and he's living back in Elroy. And so, but he's not really, here's what I think. I think that he's not going to run. I don't think that the family is on board with this. I don't think Suann has any desire at all to be on another statewide race. I don't think his kids have any desire. So I don't think he's going to have the family support. I think in this new era, this new MAGA Republican Party, I think he'd have a tough time making a go of it. But we'll get more thoughts on the other side. What do you think? Is Tommy going to run for a fifth term? 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. Come on back. It's a Tuesday edition of the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Here you're listening to 92.7 WMDX.
Shop Furlow Mattresses Mega Mattress Sale. Get additional savings on top of our factory direct pricing. That's double the savings on your new mattress. Plus, save even more when you upgrade to an adjustable base. At Furlow, all of our mattresses are locally crafted and backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. So hurry in and get
I have the perfect
savings
song
on
for
top
coming back.
of savings during Furlow's Mega Mattress Sale. Wake up. Sleep better. Furlow.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Wisconsin. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the WIAA.
Looks like we have Kyle here. Thanks for joining us. We will.
Hey, Kyle.
Hello.
We are going to have him on at 35.
Yeah. Were you told it now, or were you told the bottom of the hour?
I'm always 15 minutes early. So.
All right. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Just make sure we didn't mess something up. So yeah, we just got one more 7-minute segment here. Then we have a 4-minute commercial news update, and then you're on.
Sounds good. That's a whole Lombardi, Wisconsin thing. So got to do it.
Appreciate it.
Makes
Thank
sense.
you.
All right. And about 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Tommy, can you hear me? Can you feel me near you? Tommy, can you see me? Can I help to cheer you? Ooh, Tommy.
Welcome back
Tommy.
to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Talking about the one, the only Tommy George Thompson, 4-time elected governor of the state of Wisconsin. Where did you find that song, Zommers? And why did he ever use that for one of his campaigns?
I don't know why he didn't, but it's Tommy, Can You Hear Me by The Who from their album, Tommy, which is most known for Pinball Wizard. But
Yes. That's fantastic. Well done.
It's all about the kid, the Pinball Wizard, whose name is Tommy.
Right. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you along. 23 now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Started out the show here was on Matt Nair on Air this morning with Jane and Greg, Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach. And they started out with this news and posed the question to me, and I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes following up on it. Tommy George Thompson, governor of the state of Wisconsin, 4 times elected, was in his element yesterday in Milwaukee at the Wisconsin State Fair. And he went on TMJ Radio in Milwaukee, and they asked him about the governor's race. And Tommy said, quote, "I haven't said no," unquote. He went on to say, quote, "There are a lot of good candidates, and I don't have a desire to get in the race. But the truth of the matter is, I'll wait and see who's out there. I'm in great physical health. My mind is sharp as hell. I've got things I would like to accomplish, and it's way too early for me to make that decision."
Sounds about right.
I don't do as good a Tommy Thompson as Trygve Olsen.
Trygve's impression is very good.
Yeah. Here's what again, to cut to the chase. I don't believe that Tommy Thompson is going to actually run for another term as governor. He's 83 years old. And I said on Jane and Greg's show this morning, my heart, my mind will always go back to the Tommy Thompson that was governor in the 80s and 90s. Somebody who worked in a bipartisan manner to get things done. Didn't always agree with him on every single thing. But by things like the Lower Wisconsin Riverway. I talked yesterday about my friends Kurt and Florcy and I. We went in the Lower Wisconsin Riverway for a 4-hour kayak paddle over the weekend. That was a bipartisan project. Democrats, Republicans came together. Tommy Thompson signed it into law. A lot of other great things Tommy did. A huge proponent of the UW system in this state. And when he went to Washington to work in the Bush administration, had the opportunity to visit him in his office out in D.C., and he was He was working on measures to protect food sources and shipping to keep them safe that nobody else was doing. Don Rumsfeld, the defense secretary, was sending his guys over to Tommy's office at DHSS to say, hey, how we need to be doing this as a national defense thing. Then Tommy came back. He was the interim president of UW System during COVID and got bipartisan rave reviews as being the premier president of a UW system in how to, or a college system on how to deal with COVID. He was protesting. He set up all kinds of free testing clinics at universities around the state. He was pro-vaccine. He set up all kinds of vaccination centers as well as the testing around the state based on his time at DHSS. And I think he deserves kudos for all of those things. And above all, no politician has been a greater advocate for Wisconsin cheerleader than Tommy Thompson. But, and I've talked about this on this program before, it deeply saddens me that, in my opinion, perhaps the greatest political Achilles heel that Tommy has is his lust and desire to be relevant. And I think that, look, I'm not going to name names, but I pretty much know for a fact that Tommy Thompson does not like Scott Walker. Tommy Thompson does not like Donald Trump. But he's played the game to stay relevant in a MAGA Republican world. And that saddens me a great deal, because I think he had the opportunity to be an even bigger leader had he stayed true to himself. So, I also think it's just funny because I think Tommy's probably getting a kick out of messing around with Berrien and Showman and Tiffany, because Tommy's sucking up all the news today on the governor's race, and he probably has no intention of actually running, and he's probably getting a huge kick out of it. 855-752-4842. Let's go up to Eau Claire, WCFW, the Tap. Gene in Eau Claire. Gene, what do you got for us?
Well, hi. Well, I sure hope he ain't planning on running either. And I remember he did a lot of great things. However, people change. I have always been an independent, and I used to see some good things going on in our Senate, in the U.S. Senate, and even in the state of Wisconsin years ago before the Walker regime.
Right.
And the people that I thought would come to fight for, a republic, democracy, or however you want to describe it, would be these great leaders in different times, and did great jobs, and they've all let us down. Every goddamn one of them has kowtowed to whomever big money is trying to change the United States of America. And I just was very, very concerned. And I could see them, Tommy, you'd be so great.
Right.
we
stroking his
need
ego.
you, Tommy.
He loves having his ego stroked.
Yes, and then all of us will suffer. So I sure hope to heck he's not for us anymore like he was years
Thanks,
ago.
Gene. Appreciate it. Curtin Madison says, for the love of God, get in your boat and go fishing, Tommy. Do anything but run for governor. Why tarnish your run? That's from Kurt in Madison. 855-752-4842. Whistler, you got 20 seconds, Whistler. What do you got?
Well, I'll tell you what, Todd, I think that Tommy should join the Lincoln Project. To be totally honest.
I appreciate that, Whistler. I wish you would, but unfortunately he's been on the Trump train as of late. We shall see. Sean, watching on YouTube, says Dale Schultz would make a terrific governor. I agree. I also will tell you he ain't gonna run. Come on back after this. We'll talk about the Trump tariffs and what it means to Wisconsinites on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Tommy, 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 Tommy.
For Madison, real news and great.
That was great, Tommy.
92.7.
As soon as I remembered that song existed, I was like, wait a second.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for sticking around, Kyle.
Of course. Enjoy the conversation.
Pronounce your last name, please. Make sure I have it correct.
LaFond.
All right, LaFond. All right, very good. And founder, president, and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing at American Province.
That's correct, yes.
member of Main Street Alliance, and did I also hear that are you on the PBS board for Wisconsin or nationally, or?
Yes, I'm the president of the Friends Board of PBS Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's the 501c3 that's responsible for fundraising.
Cool. We'll I know we wanted to mainly focus on the tariffs for your business, but do you mind a little bit later in the interview if we kind of like talk a little bit about the cuts to National Corporation of Public Broadcasting?
That'd be just fine, yes.
All right, cool. We spent a lot of time when it broke last week, and it's something that kind of near and dear to my heart, and I care a lot about. So I just think not enough people are talking about it right now. So would appreciate your thoughts and input on that.
Of course, absolutely.
We keep it pretty conversational. I don't have like a big laundry list of specific questions. Whenever somebody's new on the show, we always kind of just like to start by asking you a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and what led you to this business. And we'll talk a minute about your business, and then we'll kind of get into the tariff part of it. But it's conversational. Just remember that right now we are not broadcasting over the air, so to speak, over radio, but we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. So I always remind people, don't say anything that you wouldn't want in the front page of the paper, because it's out there in the universe, as they say.
Of course.
Also, do you have any song requests? We have a couple minutes for you to think of something if you have anything you want to come in with.
Song requests. That's actually a great question. I haven't been asked that one before, but one of my
walk-up
favorite.
question or walk-up song.
How about "Waiting on a Friend" by the Rolling Stones? That's always a good one, right?
Nice.
Sounds good.
So your business is in Middleton. Is that where you don't have to say where you live specifically, but are you in Middleton or?
I'm down in Stoughton, actually.
Stoughton, very good. Okay.
Yeah, one of those things where I like not living in the same town that I had my businesses in.
Right.
National Cattlemen's Beef Association, U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council support Lindbergh.
No, I get that. Nice to have a little bit of separation between work and personal life.
That's right. Otherwise, I could never go to the grocery store and gather without a 45-minute conversation with somebody.
Believe me, I get it. Whenever I go by, in a lot of ways, it's nice. When I'm from Richland Center, that's where I grew up, and so our radio station there is where I started in radio in high school, and now Civic Media owns it. So I get to go back there, and my mom still lives in town, but I was there last week for the show, and I went to the bank and literally had no fewer than 5 people in 20 minutes I ran into. And it was great. But it's like, oh, man, I got to get back to the station and do the show.
Yep, exactly. Getting pulled in all kinds of different directions. I get that.
When you talk about the broadcasting stuff, Ken Burns has started a petition.
Oh, really?
To defend against Trump's plan to defund public broadcasting.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I literally just saw that on my way to log in here.
Very cool. I mean, sad that it's needed, but look at Terry Barr all over it as well.
Yep, that's how I know.
Okay.
No, not yet. But why? Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are we able to post that on our show page, Summer?
Yeah, we can.
Terry just said, because it says forums.oneswitchboard.com. So I'm not sure if that's an actual site to go to, or we should just tell people to. Yeah, we'll post it here.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we can really put on the screen. So
no, but I mean, we can post the link within our show notes, right?
Yes, we can.
So, okay,
and I will do that.
Awesome, thank you.
All right,
here we go.
15 seconds.
To Lake Superior, Green Bay, to the Mississippi River, and all points in between. The Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Aaron Zomer spinning the tunes on the board. off the playlist of our guests this half hour. Please have him join us via StreamYard on the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all over the air here as well. He is Kyle LaFon, founder and president and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing in American Province and a member of Main Street Alliance here in Wisconsin. Kyle, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Todd, great to be here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, it's our pleasure, and it means a lot to me personally because one of the things we try to do this show is take these issues that are international or national, and nothing wrong with national news and coverage, but I think for a lot of Wisconsinites out there, what I hear when I go on the road and listen to folks is they say, Todd, I just can't do it because it's overwhelming and depressing. And I get it. So one of the things we like to do is put this in a Wisconsin context. And you being a small business owner here in Wisconsin, I want to talk a little bit about these Trump tariffs, new round of them, allegedly. We'll see if it happens this time, going back into effect here in a few days. So I appreciate a real discussion about that. But as we do with everybody who's new here on the show, Mr. LaFon, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the manufacturing world.
Yeah, thanks. It's a long and very twisted story, actually. I actually began my career with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, where I worked as a wildlife biologist. In that role, I spent a lot of time in schools talking to kids about principles of wildlife management, biology, chemistry, you name it. I really enjoyed that aspect of the job, so went back and got another degree. And then I taught middle school and high school science for a number of years. When I was teaching, I developed this project where I taught my students, primarily in the middle school environment, how to make their own personal care and wellness products using primarily household ingredients. You know, I was sick of all my my younger students basically dousing themselves with Axe body spray and other products that were loaded with all kinds of chemicals and preservatives. So after developing this project in class, I basically stole all of my students' best ideas and launched my first company.
That's great.
Yeah, the company is called American Provenance. It's still around. It's a deodorant brand you're going to find primarily on Amazon at this point. And then during the pandemic, we launched a second division called Natural Contract Manufacturing. So now, not only do we make products for our own brand, but we make products for about 60 other brands and a number of celebrities and athletes and influencers that are all looking to capitalize on, again, their name and popularity.
I think this is great, and we just did a show last week out in Southwest Wisconsin at Six Springs Farm, Joe Thomas's venture in Hall of Fame beef, and he was talking about this is basically what led him going from football into farming. As he said, you know, as I aged in football and got closer to the end of my career in the NFL, my body physically and mentally was taking its toll. And a lot of this was from the crap that I was, you know, I consider myself a healthy guy. I'm paraphrasing, he said. But he said I wanted to provide healthy food, meat for my family and friends. And that's how it started. It sounds much the same way your impetus was watching what your students were putting on their bodies, chemicals, and saying, hey, how can we do this better and more naturally?
That's exactly it. And as an aside there, Joe's actually a good buddy. I've been out there to his farm a few times. Yep. I've been out there looking for morels and ramps in the spring and even screwing around on other occasions. So, yeah, Joe is a wonderful example. What a great ambassador for the state of Wisconsin.
You know, you nailed it on the head. And what I said, I'm writing a piece right now on it, a column about done. And yeah, part of the takeaway, you know, the story, you know, he said, I'm not going to the draft, even though I'm number 3, because I'm going to fish with my dad. But what really struck me, having the privilege and honor to hang out with him for 2 hours on the air and off, was how truly invested he is in farming in Southwest Wisconsin. This isn't some, oh, I'll live in a city far away and come out here once a month and take photos. No. He's on the gator. He's on the tractor. He's sawing down trees. He's feeding cattle, whatever he has to do. And he's really invested in the economic growth of Southwest Wisconsin.
That's just it. I mean, people don't give Joe enough credit. I think the one word I really like to use when describing Joe is sophisticated. You know, and you wouldn't think that word in regards to a professional football player, but Joe is a very sophisticated guy, kind of a real Renaissance man. You know, he's one of those guys where my grandfather always told me you should never trust anybody that doesn't have calluses on their hands. And Joe understands that. He goes out and he gets the work done. So more power to him.
You don't have to disclose this if you don't want to. I'm just curious. How do you know him? Through football or what?
Through Chris Borland, actually.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Chris and
Yeah,
I have been friends for many, many years.
really?
Yeah, and then
Man.
our circles of friends have just kind of intertwined and gotten a chance to meet a few other folks through Chris and expand my network there. And yeah, Joe is and just a wonderful guy. And again, I can't believe we're fortunate enough to have him as an ambassador here for the state, and especially Southwest Wisconsin.
Small world indeed. We're talking to Kyle Lafon, the founder, president, and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing and American Province. So back to your story, I think that as a small business person who did this for all the right reasons, got into this for the betterment of health and people, now you're looking, when you sell your, I'm going to ask you two things. A, where are you selling your product most to? And B, where are you getting I'll use the word ingredients or materials to produce and ship your product? And then how are these Trump tariffs going to affect your business?
Yeah, great question. So there was a time prior to the pandemic where you could find our own branded products, American Provenance products, on about 10,000 shelves nationwide. That included 1,400 Walmarts, a whole bunch of Whole Foods regions, and pretty much every significant regional grocery you could imagine. During the pandemic, of course, brick and mortar really just fell apart. If people were going to the grocery store, they were going to buy foods. They weren't going to buy personal care and wellness products. So at that point, we pulled out brick and mortar. Now the brand itself is online only. So just on Amazon and a handful of other sites. Most of our clients are online only as well. A lot of these folks don't have the resources to take their product and put it on a shelf somewhere. Putting a product on a store shelf is very, very expensive, very, very time consuming. So a lot of folks can just turn to Amazon or Faire or other online outlets to sell their goods. In terms of our inputs and how the tariffs are affecting us, because we're making products for all kinds of other brands and athletes, celebrities, and whatever else, and especially since we're in the personal care and wellness space, we get a lot of our ingredients, a lot of our inputs from overseas. So we're talking about Thailand, we're talking about China, we're talking about Indonesia, some of our stuff's from South America as well. If you're talking about personal care and wellness products, a lot of it tends to be coconut oil and shea butter. Last time I looked, there's not a lot of palm trees here in Wisconsin. So for us, what we're seeing, even a lot of our scents, our essential oils, of course, those are all distilled down from plants that are primarily in temperate zones around the equator, right? So what we found with a lot of our ingredients, there were significant price increases overnight when tariffs first started to be talked about. And some of our ingredients, I can tell you that pretty much overnight, they just about doubled. Which is just crazy when you think about it. When we talk about tariffs, a lot of folks tend to think about, finished products. There's a lot more beyond that. A lot of manufacturers here stateside, we get our inputs, we get our raw materials, our ingredients from foreign nations, and we have to pay those tariffs to get those products here to make the products you enjoy at home. We can't absorb all those costs, so of course we're going to have to pass them on to the consumer. And so I think it's foolish for anybody to think that tariffs aren't going to affect the prices of American manufactured goods because, yeah, a lot of stuff that goes into American manufactured goods is required overseas.
Talking to Kyle Lafon here, founder and president and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing in American Province, based in beautiful Middleton, Wisconsin, just outside the Madison city limits where we are at. Kyle, how many, roughly, so to speak, how many people do you employ in your businesses?
We're a small and lean operation. Right now, there's only 4 of us full-time permanent employees. When we do have upticks, we do rely on some outside staffing to help us out. And during the summertime, I do have the privilege of having some of my friends and their kids help out when we're a little behind schedule, which is great. The summer is usually a very busy time for us. So having kids that are not enrolled in school and have some time on their hands to come and help us out has been wonderful.
I think this is great because as I travel, I grew up in Richland Center, Wisconsin, a town of 5,000 people. I have the privilege of being able to travel around for this show. We talk and listen to a lot of folks. I think that you're representative of so many small business people in this state. You think about the bakeries, the coffee shops, the cafes, the woodworkers, the photographers, the people that take our photographs for kids' senior pictures. They're not employing hundreds of people. It's a couple of families, but all of them added up together have a huge impact because my guess is, Kyle, you're also spending locally in your community. And so it's a ripple effect, and not enough people understand that that's the backbone, agree or disagree, of Wisconsin small business.
That's just it. I mean, when you think about over 90% of Wisconsin businesses are small businesses, and those are 50 employees or less. So you think about, you walk down Main Street, and like you said, you look at a cafe or a bakery or a butcher shop. That's 3 or 4 people. And those are folks that are making a living, putting back in the community. We want to continue to spend our dollars here as close to home as possible. We're not huge proponents of purchasing stuff on Amazon, even though our clients utilize that as a selling format. Don't get me started about monopolies and all kinds of stuff like that. That's another conversation for another day, but happy to have that one. There is, I think, a growing sentiment, especially among young people. They get it. They want their dollars to stay local. They don't want to ship it overseas. So I think we're going to see a sea change here over the course of the next, who knows, 10, 12 years, when people really wake up and realize that, this consumer spending that we've gone crazy with since the pandemic needs to change and come back to Main Street.
About a couple minutes left here before we have to step away. Then we'll finish up on the other side. But again, to get back to the impacts that these tariffs are going to have, agree or disagree, it's not just the tariffs themselves. It's this complete uncertainty for a small business owner like yourself. How do you plan for that?
That's a great question as well. So we're always onboarding new clients. And so every year we anticipate we've got 20 to 25% of our clients turning over. Either they go out of business or they get too big and go on to a larger contract manufacturer that has more advanced capabilities than what we have. What we're finding is that with all this talk of tariffs and all this uncertainty, all these folks that were talking about launching brands or products earlier this year, guess what? They've kind of completely fallen off. They either postponed or delayed or decided not to pursue business whatsoever. Anytime we have this amount and this kind of uncertainty, it's not good for any business. If you're thinking about launching something and you don't have solid answers on funding, or you don't have solid answers on what interest rates or consumer demand or the threat of recession are going to be, or tariffs, those are all things that potential business owners need to keep in mind. And adding those up, a lot of folks have decided to shy away from launching brands or expanding product portfolios.
And I think that's the untold story here in the national headlines is that, I had a couple of different small coffee shops over the course of my life. I was in business with a couple of business partners. And it's like you just want to know one way or the other so you can plan. It's the uncertainty, I think, that kills you as a small business person because you don't know how much to have in reserve. You don't know what the forecast for next year. It just locks you up.
That's exactly it. And as now a business owner for the past 10 years, I can't believe it's been 10 years. But having a business for that long and going through my own trials and tribulations, you want those certainties. That makes everything so much easier in terms of planning and execution. Anytime you have things that are unknown, that's why I always tell folks, the only thing I'm really scared of is not knowing what I don't know. That may sound crazy,
no,
but
I get it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think a lot of folks are in that situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree 100%. We got to step away, do a little business, as they say. We're going to come back, talk more with Kyle LaFond on the other side. Not just about small business and tariffs in Wisconsin, but also about PBS and the implications of the cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Is cheering on the group.
Man, Kyle, that's fantastic. I thanks. I don't want to go too far deep into that, but it's so fascinating because Chris Borland came in after he left San Francisco. He used to come into our coffee shop, and for the first couple of times, I tried to be respectful of people. I didn't say anything, and then one night or one afternoon, it was just he and I basically in there. I said, "Hey," I don't mean to bother you, but I just want to let you know how much I admire what you did and the example you set. And he's like, oh, and so he would kind of come in, we'd chat a little bit, just as you know, I mean, one of the nicest people ever.
Yes.
And I have so much respect for what he's done and what he continues to do. And just that connection to Joe Thomas now. So last night I'm getting my hair cut and I tell him my woman that cuts what's left of my hair, I keep telling her I should get a discount. And I said, well, I came in for a cleanup last week with one of your colleagues because I had a big show. I interviewed Joe Thomas, he's doing this beef thing in Southwest Wisconsin. And she said, oh, wait, is that the guy whose farm is? And she said pretty much exactly where it was. And that was the condition of this whole thing was we weren't going to disclose for, it's a big investment. We're not exactly where it's at. And I'm like, how do you know that? And she goes, "Oh, he bought my great grandma's farm."
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, "Oh my God, what a small world!" It's just crazy.
It's so neat how he's allowed those folks to stay there on those farms. I mean,
yeah.
Wow, what an absolute dream. I mean, all my interactions with Joe have always been fantastic. I mean, he is just, what you see on television doesn't do his character justice.
No.
He's one of the few people you can say that about.
Yeah, and a complete pro's pro. I asked the question. I said, "Well, Joe, a couple of minutes here before the break," and I asked him a question. And most people that don't do broadcasting, you kind of have to like help out to get in and out of the break. He knew exactly as soon as the music started in the headphone to wrap up and go to break,
and to only tell 80% of the story.
Right. And to
tease ahead.
To tease it ahead. I'm like, no wonder he's a star of the NFL Network too. He can play football, he raises beef, and he's a broadcaster. Is there anything this man can't do? No.
I don't think so. And I don't know if you talked to him much about his business acumen or his investments, but he has an awesome investment portfolio.
Yeah, we didn't get deep into it, but it sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah. He and his advisors have done pretty much everything right.
Right.
Yeah, every time we talk about that, I'm just continue to be blown away about the opportunities that he sees and what he gets involved with. Like, just really, really cool.
And that's why I've said to people, because Mike Wilkinson ended up coming over as well and came on the last segment. And
30 seconds.
And I'm told folks, they weren't sitting around talking about politics. It was business, agriculture, and family. And that's what they talked about,
Yep.
All right, here we go. Fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 minutes now before the hour, 3 o'clock at the top of the hour. ABC or CBS News, followed by a check of weather. Mike Clemens, a great sports reporter, with a report from Packers training camp, and also the Brewers continue their winning streak back underway in Atlanta tonight. Brewers now 3 games ahead of the dreaded Chicago Cubs. That's fantastic news. Michael have updates on that. And then hour 2, what's worse, coming up in hour 2, grocery store items. What's worse, store-bought grocery tomatoes or non-dairy milk? We'll discuss those hot topics in hour number 2. But right now, something more serious. Kyle Fahn joins us via StreamYard from here in Dane County, the founder and president and CEO of Natural Contract Manufacturing in American Province. Now, Kyle, before we get into PBS, many of your products here, natural products, skincare, healthcare products. Now, what should a guy like me, who tends to be sweaty, unfortunately, Right Guard is my go-to. It seems to work the best. What sort of natural deodorants should I actually be using that are more healthy and not so chemically prone?
Well, I'll share with you the same information I've been sharing with folks for many, many years. You should never, ever, ever wear an antiperspirant. You should always wear a deodorant. Yes, there's a big difference there. And so with antiperspirants, they often contain some type of chemical, usually aluminum or metal, to basically clog your pores to prevent you from sweating. But what happens when you sweat, you're also expelling all kinds of toxins from your body, right? So if you're clogging your pores, those toxins and chemicals tend to accumulate in these very sensitive areas around your lymph nodes. So you want to sweat. Sweating is healthy. It's your body's way of cooling itself down, but also expelling all these minerals and toxins and everything else. And so if you're clogging your pores, those are staying in your system. And you don't want to do that. So deodorants are great. Deodorants are just meant to basically mask whatever your body odor may be, where antiperspirants, again, block your pores. And so never, ever, ever wear an antiperspirant. Always wear a deodorant.
There you go. I've learned something new already today. That's fantastic. So, and this is great. These products, these natural products like yours, are being manufactured right here in the state of Wisconsin. I appreciate the discussion prior to on the Trump tariffs. I wanted to get into something else that came out of the White House last week. That I know you're the president, I believe, the Friends Board of PBS here in Wisconsin. Did I get that right?
That's correct. That's the 501c3 that is responsible for fundraising for PBS Wisconsin.
So it was announced last week that by the Trump administration, well, I guess by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, that they were going to shut down essentially by the end of September because of not just the cuts in the Trump reconciliation bill, but also the fact that Congress, Republican-led Congress, as directed by Trump, clawed back over $1 billion in previously allocated and approved funds for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. Tell us just, if you will, a little bit, Kyle, what impact in reality is this going to have on places like Wisconsin Public Television and Wisconsin Public Radio?
Well, it's going to be significant. I mean, there's no way to hide that whatsoever. We were hoping for a much different outcome. We had what I thought was very good news heading into discussions around the rescission package. Unfortunately, those did not come to fruition. So what that's going to mean with this cut in funding is right now, Wisconsin Public Media, we get about 10% of our annual budget from the federal government. So we're going to have to make that up somehow. One thing that we've seen not only here in Wisconsin, but nationwide, are a lot of these stations putting together some very aggressive campaigns and basically bring on more dollars from their friends, their sponsors, and just fans. So now more than ever, we're going to have to rely on all of our supporters that have been behind PBS for years and years to really kind of help us out even more than they ever have before. So we are doing some restructuring. We're looking at some programs, but a lot of this is going to come down to alternative ways to raise funds through fundraising efforts and maybe some unique and novel ideas that have been on the back burner for a while, but may be coming to fruition here in the next couple of years.
Unfortunately, about 3 minutes left. We'd love to have you back on another time if you're willing. But in the time we have left here, it's not just PBS, and those are very, very important in my opinion, but it's also local radio across the state of Wisconsin that receives some of those Corporation of Public Broadcasting funds. It could be native radios on out of reservations and in parts of Wisconsin that don't get a lot of media over the air because of topography, geography. But it's also just community radio, folks that rely on that local news. This is going to impact them. Am I correct?
That's just it. So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting realistically is more or less a clearinghouse. So they're the ones that receive the funds from the federal government, and then they go ahead and dictate how much funding goes to each particular television station, radio station, what have you. So there are some stations out there in primarily rural areas, you mentioned the tribes, that may get 40, 50, maybe even 60% of their funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So with that funding being cut, guess what? That means a loss of on-air talent. That means a loss of programs. That means a lot of repetitive nature. That means a loss of a lot of services that folks come to rely on. People don't realize it, but public media touches every corner of the state of Wisconsin. You know, we're here to not only educate and inform, but also protect. The first warn system, the safety system that alerts for potential or severe weather. That's all broadcast first by public radio and public television. So these are going to have some dramatic consequences in terms of health, safety, communication, education, and just community.
Kyle, 1 minute left. What have I not asked you that you want to make sure people know either about the tariffs or about PBS?
That's a good question as well. I think one of the things that has been on my mind lately is, what does the end of the year look like? You know, as a business owner, I'm always trying to forecast and look ahead. And there are some signs out there that are a little concerning to me. You know, way back when I had an old mentor tell me that if you really want to know what's going on, talk to the truck drivers. Don't listen to the folks that have the fancy degrees from the Ivy League schools. Talk to a truck driver.
Yep.
So I've always taken that to heart, and I've always done it. One of the things that was shocking to me just last week, I had a gentleman show up to basically drop off a load at our warehouse. Gentleman I had never seen before, and I'm familiar with all of our truck drivers. I asked him what was going on. He said, well, we had to furlough a bunch of drivers. I've actually been behind the desk for the past 8 years. This is my first time behind the wheel since. So if these trucking operations and logistic companies are going through furloughs now, that's a bad sign. You know, I also used to hear that anytime you saw 4 or more semis per 10 cars on the interstate, you knew things were going well. 3 or less, not so hot. So keep an eye on that for the rest of the year here.
Kyle, you nailed it. One of the best educations of my life was going from Chicago to Oklahoma City to San Antonio with Brooke Dobbs on a long-haul truck experience. They are 100% right. You nailed it. Kyle LaFon, thanks for being a part of what makes Wisconsin great. We'd love to talk to you again soon. Have a great day. That was amazing. Thank you. That was so good. That story at the end. So a high school buddy of mine drove long haul truck for a long time. Went from Chicago St. Louis, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, back to Kansas City, back to Chicago. I learned more on that week-long trip than I did an entire college semester class.
Yep, exactly. Those guys know.
Yeah. And the amount of just seeing what bad government regulation does, the stupidity of it, and where you could actually use some that it isn't there. And just, I used to, I've traded trucks long ago, but I used to have a bumper sticker on my old pickup that said, without trucks, America stops. And it's 100% right.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Would love to have you back on again.
Anytime. I would love to be a regular guest. That'd be wonderful.
All right. That'd be great. I'll get your contact information for Luke and we'll set it up.
All right. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
And on Wall Street, stocks are trading lower this hour. This is ABC News.
Local news, weather, and sports on air.
He has a lot of knowledge and experience to share.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Before we begin the next hour sometime, we do the teaser.
WMDX
Got
News. I'm
good old
Savannah
Matt
Tomei
Rothschild
Olsen.
in again for
The
the Maggie
federal
Dawn show.
government has pulled funding for a local camp meant to help neurodivergent.
Like that text I sent you? That was so funny.
That text
Michael
was
Notaro
hilarious.
Is the director of the Center for Climatic Research at UW-Madison. He started the first STEM camp 4 years ago in Beloit and has added 2 more in Baraboo.
All right.
They're geared toward middle and high school.
Ready whenever you are.
Hang on, I gotta get my information. 3, 2, and 1. Hey, everybody, are you a little frustrated with how voting is going in Wisconsin? Well, tomorrow we'll talk about a possible solution called fusion voting. Join us live on location from La Crosse for leader ethics and fusion voting.
That should work.
All right. Thank you.
Disheartening. I was not surprised at all that it happened. It was, had a pretty hard impact because it was right before the summer when we were getting ready to start up our 3 camps.
The Coakley Foundation stepped up to keep the camps running this summer. Notaro says thank goodness because families rely on this.
These camps help their kids develop advocacy.
All right, Cam, that one is pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Really make them feel welcome in a safe environment where their neurodiversity is like champions rather than
the McDonald's one is the one.
In the last 4 years, we've had youth from middle school.
What did you last say? I was listening to
the McDonald's one is the one I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was very good.
You
were just still talking on air, I think, when it got sent, so I didn't want to.
Demonstrates
probably
the fact that families are willing to drive very long distances for these camps.
The future is uncertain, and Notaro is searching for other ways to fund the camps. I'm Savannah Tomei Olsen, 92.7 WMDX News.
A Brewers win in Atlanta. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports Baseball. The Brewers face the Braves again tonight after winning last night 3-1. Isaac Collins, a 3-run
tomorrow,
homer, starting pitcher.
I
Quinn
am
Priester
planning
going 7 innings. Manager Pat Murphy.
Record the event.
I was kind of thinking today in about the 5th inning.
In case there's anything you want to use from it, would we be allowed to do that? I would think so.
Yeah, I'm sure it's open to everybody. There's no fee or anything.
Right.
On,
so yeah, I was just going to watch the live stream in here and roll on it, and then we can figure out if there's any audio you want.
Thank you. After having knee surgery over the weekend, GM Brian Gutekunst on why he signed Hobbs from the Raiders to a 4-year deal.
We also, Shali sent us some information about another person who might be able to talk about the Corporation for Public Broadcasting stuff if you want to. We can look at that later.
That you have to have, and Nate Hobbs brings all that, and that's why we brought him here.
The team has re-signed defensive back Corey Ballantyne after he was released by the Colts. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
As Wisconsin is summer weekends being spent on the lake.
And then we do have that Brewers cut.
Yep, we got that. Thank you. We got those 2 Texas. I'll probably come back. I'll come back to those after the bottom of the hour. The Texas stuff.
Calm winds barely moving. The same air mass is still here. High temperatures today will scrape the low 80s. They do the same thing tomorrow, and hopefully by the afternoon, the winds will start to kick up, pushing this air mass out of here. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 81 degrees.
where working people come to talk. It's the Rick
Those are
Smith
still
Show,
your blue books
weeknights
over
at
there,
9
right?
on the Civic Media Radio
We
Network.
might want to find
Join
something
me
else
as I
just so
honest
no
our
one can
friends
wreck them.
with the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy, fairness, grit, and no apologies. It's current affairs from a working class labor perspective. Facts are center, science is real, and everyone gets a seat at the table. The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now,
About 30 seconds.
All right, thank you. I'm sending you a couple of cuts of Murphy, too, on pocket pancakes.
Okay, great.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big broadcast here. It is the 5th of August, 2025, a Tuesday, a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcome in hour number 2, world headquarters of Civic Media, downtown Madison on State Street. Cloudy skies, smoky skies, on top of Old Smoky, all covered with cheese. Remember that song?
Yes,
you
I do.
You ever sing that in Boy Scout camp, Summers?
I don't know. I don't remember if we did in Boy Scout camp, but I know I've sang it. I just can't remember where.
The forest fires is what's causing this. Not just in Canada, Tom Tiffany settled down, but out west here in the United States as well. So they're saying the smoke will eventually clear here in the next couple of days. So hang in there. But like many of us, maybe you got a sore throat, but if you're somebody that really struggles with autoimmune or breathing issues, might want to stay inside or limit your time outdoors. But all in all, not too bad. Comfortable temperatures, humidity not too bad, and comfortable temperatures. So
yes, that's the one upside of the smoke.
yes, keeps temperatures and the humidity down. So hopefully you're enjoying your Tuesday. As we said, tomorrow going to be broadcasting from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Looking forward to that. Talking about fusion voting. It sounds like something at the state fair. The fusion voting, Slicer Dicer does this, State fair going on right now down in West Dallas. But no, we'll be in La Crosse at the Leader Ethics Seminar, talk, if you will. Should be a good time had by all. Starts at 12:30 tomorrow. You're welcome to join us, all the folks there, for free. Won't cost you a dime if you're in La Crosse tomorrow. Come on down to the Black River Beach Neighborhood Center starting at 12:30. Here's the thing. Does not cost anything to attend. It's free. But you must register in advance. In order to register, go to leaderethics.us. Leaderethics.us. Zommers will have that in the show notes. If you're not in the La Crosse area and you still want to participate, you can watch the live stream. Again, go to leaderethics.us tomorrow at 12:30. leaderethics.us tomorrow at 12:30. Should be a great program. Lee Rosh is going to be there. Also, former Democratic Sheriff of Dane County, Dave Mahoney. Former Republican Senate Majority Leader Dale Schultz. Christine Andrews, the Executive Director of United Wisconsin, and Rusty Cunningham, publisher and executive editor with the La Crosse Tribune and River Valley News. Going to be the moderator tomorrow. Going to be talking to several of them. Trygve Olsen will be along from Lithuania, an international show tomorrow. He's been involved in United Wisconsin as well. And Pat Kreitlow, host of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow every morning from 6 until 9, will be on his Wednesday time slot as per usual. Should be a great show on location tomorrow. So join us from La Crosse talking about, we'll break it down. We'll tell you what, because and I get it. Look, I get it with all the ranked choice voting, Final Five voting, Fusion voting. People are like, what is this? And why does it matter? Well, we'll do our best to, as the late, great Judge Weissman from Tennessee was fond of saying, we're going to put it down there where the chickens can get at it. Is that it, Mr. Gold? Want to put it down there where the chickens can get at it? All right, I'll allow it. One of the best court proceeding I was ever in. I was on the jury team. Well, kind of, sort of. I got to sit behind the lawyers. I helped to put together the briefing book and that sort of thing. That was my extent of working. Look, I'm no Jim Santel. I'm no Maggie Dawn. I'm no Matt Flynn. I don't have, but I did for a time briefly work for a law firm. So there you go.
More than I could say.
In my resume. But speaking of great people, Kyle LaFon, how about that guy? He's fantastic.
Yes, I think we should definitely have him back. He
100%.
has a wealth of experience and knowledge to share on, it seems like, a lot of things.
Yeah, really well-grounded person, great guy. Many thanks to Luke Mathers for helping book him, and also thanks to the Main Street Alliance. Kyle is part of that Main Street Alliance. Great to have real Wisconsin business people talking about how these big things affect them.
And affect their customers,
right.
a.k.a. us.
Right, all of us. All of us, as it turns out. So many thanks for Kyle for being here. Going to get into what's worse here in a little bit, and then also talk about Donald Trump quietly saying the 5 things you did this week, not so much. And also a little bit about an update for you on what's happening in Texas and why it continues to be important here in Wisconsin in terms of trying to redraw maps down there. But I want to spend a couple of minutes on the Brew Crew. How about that? Milwaukee Brewers, another win last night in Atlanta, 3-1 over the Braves. And they play again tonight. Pregame show around 5:45. First pitch around 6:15 Wisconsin time. And they continue to have a 3-game lead now on the Cubs in the NL Central. A lot of these people that are like, who are these guys? So over the weekend on Sunday, Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, was supposed to pitch, but he got hit in the leg by a ball in that last Cubs series in Milwaukee. It still bruised pretty bad, so they put him on the 15-day IL to rest up. Might not need that long, but seems like he's going to be okay. But they out of an abundance of caution, as they say, they put Miz on the 15-day IL. And so they called up another guy here, Logan Henderson, who is kind of been back and forth, trying to break through, was down in the minors, was getting set to pitch in Scranton, Pennsylvania. When he got the call, he needed that night, or the next night rather, in D.C. Here's Logan Henderson talking to the press gaggle here after the game about how he got to the aforementioned D.C. game.
When did you get in?
Sorry?
You get in today or last night?
I got in last night, yeah. Parents actually drove me. My dad and stepmom were in Scranton, and there were no flights available last night. So it was a full circle moment having my parents drive me here, and it was special.
Is there a certain skill you guys have staying connected to what's going on here, even if you're not here, even if you're going back and forth a little bit? Like, how do you kind of keep one foot in here when you're not physically?
Yeah, I think that's the toughest battle, to be quite honest, is, it's trying to feel part of the team up here when you're down there, but, it just kind of, it fuels you more, it makes you want to get back up here, and you just want to be ready for any opportunity, and like you just said, did you expect it? I did not at all, so, but I was ready for it, so, yeah, I mean, again, we're all in Nashville watching the boys win up here, and it's been really fun, and we all want to contribute, and yeah, that's the goal.
Logan Henderson, on getting to D.C. from Scranton, had his parents, his dad and stepmom, drove him to the Major League game because there was no flights available. And I just think it's cool because how many kids are driving their high school kids to games right now, to AAU games, whatever it might be, And even in college, like, you know, if your kid's playing in college, you'll if it's not too far away, you'll try to get to those games, those matches. But here he is in the big leagues, and he needs a ride to the game, and mom and dad, all right, jump in the car.
That is pretty funny.
I think but it's so indicative, so representative, maybe is the better word. And Brewer manager Pat Murphy talked about this yesterday or the day before a little bit, that these guys, he's called them the average Joes of the Major League Baseball. That, you know, they're not the big all-stars. I mean, you got Yelich, of course, but these are not household names. The payroll is one of, if not the lowest in Major League Baseball, and they're atop the major leagues right now because they're so hungry. That guys are just like, well, I don't want to sit too long. I want to get back out there. I want to make a run. I want to make a steal. You know, whatever it is. And it's this fire that Pat Murphy has ignited. The other thing that Murph has done, and I want to spend a couple of minutes on this, he's kept him loose. And our friends Kelly Call and Sean Hanisch, the producers and director, respectively, of the great film Just a Bit Outside, the story of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers run to the World Series, in their great film, they capture from the 82 team, part of the magic of that 82 team that led him to the World Series was that Harvey Keene came in, and he was an older manager, and Ted Simmons tells this great story because Harvey Keene had a peg leg. Don't at me, the PC crowd, because he didn't want a plastic
prosthetic. He wanted a wooden peg.
Thank you. Yes, he didn't want the prosthetic. He wanted the wooden. So Simmons tells this story shortly after Harvey Dalton had put Harvey Keene, or Harry Dalton put Harvey Keene in charge of the team, that Keene came down the hallway to the Brewers locker room, and Ted Simmons tells it much better than I can. And he said, you heard this pop, pop. You hear his peg leg coming down, and he came in and he said, boys, I got two things. Number one, I hate meetings. Number two, this meeting's over. And he walked out. And Ted Simmons says it was the best meeting I'd ever been in. And Harvey Keene said, I just want you guys to play. Quit being so serious. Just you know what to do. Play. And he kept him loose. Murph is doing the same thing. He talked to, I give her credit, I don't know her name, I'm sorry. It's the reporter that goes down in the dugout for FanDuel, the new TV network or whatever it does. And she's talking to Pat Murphy in the dugout over on the Nationals game about what he has in his pocket and what he's eating. Here we go.
I like a lot of different things during the game. There's pancake. I got actually, I got a little pocket pancake right here that I munch on. They're wonderful. You want some?
I would love some. Thank you so much, Todd. Oh, those are delicious.
So he had a pocket, like we used to call them silver dollar pancakes.
Right.
And apparently they got the National League chef, or the Nationals chef at the ballpark, to make a small pancake, and Murph had it in his pocket.
Which, that is amazing.
And he pulls out, here's a pocket pancake.
I should start doing that for work.
So in the post-game presser, it came up again. Here's Pat Murphy.
Murph, do you really keep pancakes in your pocket?
Sometimes. Waffles, pancakes, pizza. I mean, stuff I like. And have a little carbs during the game to wash down, to have something, you know what I mean?
How does one keep pizza in your pants without it causing like long-term damage to the pants?
He just took a bite out of the pancake.
Long-term, you just wash it.
All right.
Now, pizza, when it's cold pizza, then you fold it up like a sandwich.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that makes
Just
more
go in
sense.
there. You need it during the game. And when I wear a hoodie, I have a pocket right here, and that's full of crumbs. But
Do you go toppings?
toppings, sausage. The cold pizza and then the cheese, the sauce doesn't, it's cold. So
Yeah,
the
no,
sauce doesn't-
I was just thinking of a hot slice of pizza, but that makes way more sense.
No, I usually get them out of the hotel when you walk down people leave pizza boxes outside. I always leave some slices.
People leave their pizza boxes outside their hotel room, and Pat Murphy picks them up and puts them in his pocket.
This is the best interview I've ever seen. It's just so matter-of-factly.
He has the winningest team in Major League Baseball, and he's talking about pocket pizzas and pocket pancakes.
They're like, do you really do this? He's like, sometimes.
Our own Terry Barr says Murph also told the reporter he puts pizza in his hoodie. Well, there you go. I think this is great. I mean, this is the way you win. What you got to do what you got to do. Hats off to Pat Murphy, the Brewers. They kick off tonight on several stations on Civic Media. 5:45 for the pregame, 6:15 against the Braves. Come on back. What's worse is next on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Welcome to Madison's Real News.
That's incredible.
Isn't that great?
Just a matter of fact, quite like, yeah, cold pizza, pancakes. You just get some carbs during the game. You like fold it up like a sandwich.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text all to 321-321.
Got a song about tomatoes.
Complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321.
Yeah, before you said it, I was thinking, like, this really does remind me of the 82 team of just having a bunch of scrappy guys who just want to get out there and play.
That's awesome. It's great. It's what makes Milwaukee Brewer baseball fantastic. In my opinion.
We already know who some of the candidates will be. On the Democratic side, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez launched her campaign, and Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley said he's running. On the Republican side, Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman and Southeastern Wisconsin Business Executive Bill Berrien are running. Many more are expected to join the race. And it's not just governor that will have an open race. We could see open races for Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, and State Treasurer, too. Couple that with what's happening in the state legislature, no longer under gerrymandered maps, the year 2026 is going to bring a rather unique moment for voters in Wisconsin to determine the path forward on a fresh, new era for the state. I know some can be wary of change, but let's embrace this as the real opportunity.
Dan Schaefer, as he has, I'm not talking out of school, he's posted it on social media. He is on a European vacation.
That he is.
Been looking forward to talking to Dan when he comes back. All right, here we go.
Ain't nothing in the world that I like better than bacon and lettuce and homegrown tomatoes. Up in the morning and out in the garden, get your ripe ones, don't get a hard one. Plant 'em in the spring, eat 'em in the summer. All winter without 'em's a culinary bummer. I forgot all about the sweating and the digging every time I go out to pick me a biggin'. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
That is a fantastic song. You're hot, Sommers. You're hot today. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 23 now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Who is singing that?
That's Homegrown Tomatoes by John Denver.
Is that John Denver?
That's John Denver.
Wow. Shout
Which
out
is amazing.
to June Nee, president of the John Denver fan club back in Richland Center. Homegrown. What's better? What's better than a homegrown tomato?
Not a lot.
Nothing. I mean, and it's the time of year I haven't not done this yet. I need to coordinate it. One of my favorite all-time meals is a fresh garden tomato grown and picked hours beforehand, sliced up, little pepper and salt, maybe some fresh Wisconsin mozzarella, and a little sprig of basil, and then you have fresh sweet corn that was picked an hour before you cook it, and then you got a Wisconsin beef steak. It's my favorite summer meal right there. Maybe a glass of either a glass of Wallersheim wine in Wisconsin or a spotted cow from New Glarus Brewery. By the way, after the show, Zommers, got to get out of here right away because I gotta get down to New Glarus to take care of my meat.
Mm-hmm. That relates to a text we just got. Mark in Prairie du Sac says, "Is that a pancake in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?"
No, what's the matter, you people? I have to go down to Hosley Meats in New Glarus, Wisconsin. Great local locker, Hosley Meats. I'm meeting Kurt down there because once again, we have gone in, and I believe my sister and brother-in-law we bought a portion of a steer, a local. This is great. Badger Ethanol down in Monroe, Wisconsin, which Kurt is the plant manager for. The owner's there, and how great is this? Again, local business. Badger Ethanol owners, they go to many, like the Greene County Fair, the Lafayette County Fair, and these kids, the 4-H groups, they have their beef, their steers, their hogs, and they raise these as 4-H projects. And a lot of work goes into these, and they're grass-fed, they're locally grown, absolute, just what Joe Thomas was saying about Wagyu beef out at Six Springs Farm. But these are for the kids. And so the owners of Badger State Ethanol, they go and they bid this up, and they pay a big price. The kids get the money in their pocket. They use it for scholarships to go to school or whatever they want, or maybe their project for the next year. And then Badger State says, hey, to their employees, we'll offer this to you, and you just pay what the market price is when we take it to the locker, and then we'll take care of the rest of the cost that we paid the kid. So for the last couple of years, Kurt and I, now I think Heather and Mike are going in, and we're buying part of a steer, and maybe there's rumor of a hog involved as well this year. And then so you got locally grown meat, you're helping out your 4-H kids, and a great meat packaging group like Hosley Meats in New Glarus. So I got the text this morning, the meat is ready.
Well, now you just got to get the fresh tomatoes to go with it.
Exactly, and the corn, and we're set to go. So I got to head out of here down to Hosley Meats. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Mark in Prairie du Sac. Mark, what do you got for us, my friend?
Well, I got the cherry tomatoes coming in a little bit. I got a few cherry tomato plants out there, so just about every day I can go out there and pick a bowl full of cherry tomatoes, slice them in half, and put some fresh basil that I got growing too, and maybe a little feta cheese and a little olive oil and red wine vinegar or sherry wine vinegar, and mix that up and pour that over it, and that's a good appetizer for supper.
Mark, you are making me hungry.
Me too.
I love it. That's fantastic. This is the time of year, right? Just the food in Wisconsin can't be beat for all the reasons you just said, Mark. Love it. Appreciate it.
And then the cucumbers coming in, they don't get very big, but they usually don't make it to very big size. Just rinse them off and just eat them like you would an apple.
Right. And, right from the garden.
That's what I got.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so very much. Tom in New Berlin, listening on WAUK, says, fresh picked tomatoes sliced on a bread toasted with mayo. Or grill them whole. That's grilled tomatoes are fantastic as well.
Can.
Wow, that's like fantastic. Matt in Richland Center says, that sounds like you almost said, hit the ball earlier. All right. Chris Casper, our own Chris Casper on MDX says the Brewers the only team in the league over 600 right now. Imagine that's fantastic. Also, Eau Claire Mikey, brother-in-law, watch on YouTube, says we're all in for local meats, right? It's fantastic. Look, and this is great. The great part about it is, and Pam Yonke, I heard her this morning earlier on the radio on the Midwest Farm Report, which you can hear on many stations here on Civic Media. Pam Yonke was talking about these young people, these 4-H kids, are down at the State Fair right now, West Dallas, and this is a huge deal. And to take your animal down there and to show it and to get an award and then to have it auctioned off, it's a really big deal for these young people, and I hope that people all across the state of Wisconsin will continue to support them. So there you go. Great conversation. I guess should we have time? Should we do it now, or should we do it when we come back?
I mean, we can start asking.
Should we open the thing?
All right. We can open it and have people
call in. All right, we're going to open the thing. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. And of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this,
time
or you
once
can
again
get
for
with
What's
that.
Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved, but it is your chance to have your voice heard on all 10 news, talk, and sports stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, enough build up. The category today, what's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk? Grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or you can text us on the Civic Media app. Could be a big debate, much like yesterday. We'll find out. Get your calls in now. Speaking of Pam Yonke, farm news update, weather right now. Going to come back and discuss this. What's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk on the Civic Media Radio Network?
Here you're listening to 92.7 WMDX.
As Wisconsin is summer weekends being
this
spent
summer,
on the lake.
I
This
won
is the
a
Civic Media Radio Network.
I entered in like a $5 raffle and won a CSA from a local no-till organic farm. And I've been so spoiled because that stuff's so good. Like I didn't know spinach was legally allowed to have that much flavor.
Roy, right?
Their spinach was
Tuesday. Lynn Paulson is the Senior Vice President of Agribusiness
tomatoes,
Development
great.
for Bell Bank.
Cucumbers, just like Mark said, just eat it like you would an apple.
May have farmers worried. He explains how national debt plays a role in agriculture.
You know, that federal deficit, we tend to just kind of block that out and, you know, really what's happening and you know, how does it affect agriculture? Well, I would say that, you know, with the debt and especially the interest on the national debt, and we talked a little bit about that, how big a number that is. But for every dollar that goes to pay interest on the national debt, it's one less dollar.
And I have to agree with Allie and Madison.
Like farm programs and
If I
like
could
other things
have
here, right?
organic homegrown tomatoes only, I absolutely would.
Everybody's looking for money, right? So the U.S. government needs to go out and borrow money, and that's costing more. And as a result, it costs producers more to go out and lend.
Lynn Paulson, along with us, he's the Senior Vice President of Agribusiness Development for Bell Bank, talking us through how the national debt influences agriculture. Stick around for a look at your closing markets coming up next.
Hey, got yield? The Wisconsin Soybean Association is excited to announce the 2025 Wisconsin Soybean Yield Contest, highlighting the innovative production practices of Wisconsin soybean growers. The Yield Contest celebrates soybean growers across the state and their dedication to improving their operations. 2 winners will be selected from 4 geographical divisions, with additional awards available. Entry forms must be postmarked by August 31st, so don't wait. For more information, visit wisoybean.org.
Don't let sick calves get you down and drain your profits. Get your calves up and moving with Bio.
I found another tomato song that Todd's going to love.
Baselite product contains balanced electrolytes for restoring and maintaining proper fluid levels and scouring calves. Baselite also provides additional energy to support recovery. It's easy to mix, and calves are easy to drink it down to the last drop. Learn more about Baselite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet. On the close Tuesday from Chicago, cash corn closed down $0.05 at $3.81.5. December new crop corn down $0.05 at $4.02 a bushel. Cash soybeans closed down 3 3/4 cents at $9.71.5. New crop soybeans down 3 3/4 at $9.90 3/4. And cash and new crop wheat is down 8.5 cents at $5.08 1/4. Meanwhile, fluid milk is trading higher. The September Class 3 milk contract is up 36 cents at $18.47 a hundredweight. The October contract up 11 cents at $18.53.
I found another really good
Class 3
tomato
milk
song.
grocery cheese, which reflected the higher prices today. The 40-pound block cheese closed up 2 1/4 cents at $1.80 1/4. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
Connecting audiences, powering brands. This is Civic Media. Learn more at civicmedia.us/advertise.
A hazy sunshine
See,
day
Mark,
as
that's my
wildfire
point
smoke
right
still
there.
sticks in the area. Calm winds barely moving. The same air mass is still here. High temperatures today will scrape the low 80s. They do the same thing tomorrow, and hopefully by the afternoon, the winds will start to kick up, pushing this air mass out of here. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 81 degrees.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative,
and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
You couldn't stop
Want some more Malort?
if you tried.
No, thank you.
And celebrate
No
75
more
years of
Malort for
breakthroughs
Todd.
at MDA75.org.
Did it
The
once?
John and Gordy Show.
Beef is always it's been so expensive. I've never been able to buy beef. Never. The last couple of years. Just ground beef, maybe. That's it. And every once in a while, I promise my kids who are Gen Zers that one day they will taste
30
beef.
seconds.
Thank you.
Oh, mister, don't touch me tomatoes, please. Don't you touch me tomatoes. Touch me palm, me apple, potatoes. Goodness sake, don't you touch me tomatoes. Oh, mister, don't touch me tomatoes, please. Don't you touch me tomatoes. Touch me palm, me apple, potatoes. Goodness sake, don't you touch me tomatoes.
Don't touch me tomatoes.
touch
It's
me
35 past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome in, everybody. Zommers is, he's on today on the board. Glad to have you along here. Welcome back to the show on Civic Media. Talking about what's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk. Well, what was that song, Zommers?
Don't Touch Me Tomatoes by Josephine Baker.
Josephine Baker. Well done. Sounds like I should be doing a salsa or something. Or
Definitely does.
Or eating a salsa and doing the salsa. What's
With fresh
worse?
tomatoes.
What's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the aforementioned Civic Media app. If you don't have it, download it today. Your Apple, Android device. Simply go to the search bar on your app store. Type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up. Click on the CM logo. Takes less than a minute to download. It's free. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal. The Civic Media app. Get it today because you're going to want to have it on Friday. Going to be doing the show in Shadow on Friday, but have no fear. Free ticket Friday will be here anyway, no matter where we are. Your opportunity to win 4 club. These are just not run-of-the-mill seats. These are 4 club-level seats to a Milwaukee Brewers game to be named later. No, we'll tell you what it is on Friday. These are cushy seats. They have padding on them. You can order food right from your seat via your phone if you want. There's an air-conditioned concourse behind you. Nice bathrooms just for that section. It's beautiful. You can have opportunity to win those tickets. Tune in all day on Friday, starting with Pat Kreitlow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then Jane Batnair and Greg Bach starting at 9. Even Tom Hartman, after he sells you some crypto, he'll give you a word, and
Indeed, he will.
And you can call in to enter in, and then we come along from 2 to 4, and then Maggie Dawn will have a word between 6 and 8. All you have to do is listen to those shows. We'll give you the word, and then text it in via the Civic Media app, and the computer will pull randomly from the correctly typed and entered in entries, and somebody will be going to a Milwaukee Brewers game courtesy of Civic Media. It's a great deal. Be listening on Friday. You got to have the Civic Media app to do it. Speaking of, let's go to the app. What's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842 or via the Civic Media app where Brett has weighed in Brown Deer via WAUK. Brett says non-dairy milk is worse because it's always non-dairy milk, but sometimes you do find good grocery store tomatoes. I don't want to reveal my answer yet, but I'm with you, Brett. I think that's a great take on it. Mark in Prairie Sac says in Europe, I don't think you could call the non-dairy milk anymore. I think you might be right about that. And there's been a lot of controversy here in Wisconsin and in the United States about this. And look, I know that some people are just have an allergy to dairy products, and I get that. But boy, regular listeners of the show know I've been in the coffee shop business before. And you get some pretty picky people. I mean,
Yeah.
well, for a while, we tried to have whole milk, 2%, skim, almond milk, soy milk, and oat milk. Because those are all the things people. And then in the second iteration of the shop, we kind of said, look, we're going to have whole, 2%, and oat. And that's it. And we always did in our shop, we always did organic. For a while, we did Organic Valley. And then we also used Sassy Cow Creamery here in Dane County, which was, we used the organic version of theirs. So we always had organic dairy at the coffee bar. And then we just basically did a high-end oat milk as well. Here's an interesting, hitherto unknown fact. For people that like almond milk, I once had a guest come in and I just said, I'm sorry, we don't carry almond milk. And she threw a huge hissy fit and started admonishing me that I was being like, I don't know,
insensitive.
Thank you. Yeah, something about that. You know, how dare I not have almond milk on the coffee bar? And I let her go for a while, and finally I said, I get that you care, because she had a big thing about dairy and it was inhumane to cows or whatever. And I said, you know where almond milk comes from? Well, from almonds. I said, do you realize that almond milk is one of the worst things you can consume for the environment?
It uses so much water.
For the amount of water that it takes to create almond, all the water that goes over the almonds to extract it, because almond milk doesn't come just from like squeezing the almond nut. It actually, you have to put all kinds of water and soak it and then extract it. And then the water that doesn't get used for the quote unquote almond milk, you can't put it back into, you can't like put it on a field. Like it's basically toxic. Well, maybe that's just too strong of a word, but it can't be reused. So I said, almond milk is one of the worst things you could possibly do to consume that for the environment. And she looked at me with her indignant look and she said, you have absolutely ruined my day. Didn't come back.
I'm not surprised.
So anyway, I think people kind of go overboard on this. And also, I agree. I don't think that if it's not dairy, I don't think it should be called milk. Call it something, I don't know, soy juice, almond juice.
I think
I don't know.
In Europe, a lot of them are renamed to like oat drink.
Right. There you go. Oat drink, but not milk.
Yeah. I mean, it's not juicy either.
Especially not the dairy state, right?
Yeah. I am normally extremely pedantic about names. Like I have a scar on my finger from when I was slicing cheese and got really heated talking about how stupid the Big Ten is. And I cut my finger and I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. And so, yes, I agree. It should not be called milk. However, I am glad they exist. As somebody who is mildly lactose intolerant, I prefer oat milk.
Really?
Because it's way creamier than a lot of the other alternatives.
Well, from making like barista, like making
when I worked at
espresso-based
Starbucks,
drinks, soy is nasty to work with.
Soy is awful to work with. Yeah.
Oat milk is much better, as long as it's like a higher end.
Right.
Oatly is
Oatly's a good one.
If you want a good oat milk, Oatly. That's the one. Most of your baristas, good baristas, will use that. All right. What's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk? Allie, listening in Madison on WMDX, says organic, homegrown tomatoes only. Non-dairy Ripple chocolate milk is good too. All right, very good. John in Oshkosh on WISS, one of the great brewer stations, says definitely non-dairy milk is worse. It's not dairy nor milk. Hoping that legislation goes through to ban calling it from milk. Priorities. Very good. I'll go along with that. What else we have here?
I think we're caught up.
We're caught up? All right, very good. What's worse, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Kurt in Madison on MDX says, I have tried all of the lactose-free milks. Sassy Cow is simply the best.
I can corroborate that. Also, having tried a lot of lactose-free milks, theirs is very good.
I've never tried their lactose-free milk, but like I said, we used to use Sassy Cow organic at the coffee bar, and we also used Organic Valley dairy milk as well. I know Organic Valley has a lactose-free version as well, but never tried that. Kurt also says lactate tastes like chalk. I agree with that.
It's not ideal.
I mean, I've told this story before, but the quick version is I started using Organic Valley milk when I was in Florida, working for that aforementioned law firm, my friend's law firm for a time. And I was just lonesome from Wisconsin. I said, oh, there's Organic Valley. And I used to be slightly, I guess maybe still am, or thought I was, lactose intolerant. And I started using just drinking, consuming Organic Valley milk. And basically when it went away. I could drink a whole glass with a chocolate chip cookie or over my cereal, no problems at all. So I
should try that.
I'm a big believer that the BGH and what Russ Feingold said years ago in the state and federal Senate, he was right about that. And I think the more that we can consume, and what Joe Thomas said about beef, grass-fed, organic, humanely raised, pasture-fed beef, much better for you. What Kyle LaFon said earlier in the show, products we put on ourselves, get rid of the chemicals. We're killing ourselves in some ways with what we consume, put in, and put on our bodies.
But don't take our word for it.
Right.
Do some research.
Right.
Look into it. Make sure what you're doing is healthy for you.
John, listening to us in Edgerton via WMDX, says it takes 1 gallon of water to make 1 almond drink.
No, 1 almond. So not only does it take tons of water, it takes tons of water to grow an almond and then tons more to turn it into milk.
Good point. Jim in Appleton on WISS, non-dairy milk isn't milk. Therefore, it's worse. All right, Summers, what's worse? Oh, let me say this quickly. Somebody said this earlier. So I shop a lot of times at Metcalf's here in Madison. They work with local growers for some things. So like they have Maple Grove or Maple Valley produce, which is within Dane County. So they'll bring like their heirloom or their organic tomatoes in or whatever it is. You can buy those at a grocery store, but they're produced locally. So I do think there are some exceptions to some, but we're talking about tomatoes that basically arrive at the grocery store in Wisconsin, green from Florida or Mexico. That's what we're talking about here. So what's worse, Summers, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk?
I think I'm going to have to say grocery store tomatoes, despite, I agree with you on everything about the naming of non-dairy milks, but I am glad that they exist. And I've had some pretty awful store tomatoes.
The correct answer is non-dairy milk.
Hey, well, no judgment here.
Non-dairy milk is much worse. I agree with everybody that said it can't be called milk if it's not dairy. And we live in Wisconsin. And there's some nasty, nasty non-dairy quote-unquote milks out there. Let's go quickly. One more vote. Tom in Madison listening on WMDX. Tom, grocery store tomatoes or non-dairy milk, what's worse?
Oh, it's got to be non-dairy milk because it's not milk. Though I do have some friends that are lactose intolerant and they do, silk and other things, and they don't really have as much choice. But when I first moved here like 18 years ago, I got meat from a farmer, and we've been CSA vegetable people for over a decade now. Mm. And it is absolutely incredible. I think we're with Harmony Farms, and I have cooked things I never even heard of. Right. And I lived on a farm for a while, and it's still amazing. So you get that kind of stuff. You go on the internet and you say, how do I use sunchokes or whatever? Right. Mm-hmm. And you find yourself doing things you never would have done. But
that's awesome.
But please, people, don't take medical advice from RFK Jr. or Dr. Oz.
Right?
Please don't.
Right? I'm with you, Tom. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Al, listening in Madison at WMDX, says almonds do not have nipples. Therefore, they cannot and do not produce milk.
This is true. Yeah, I don't know. I surprised myself with picking that because I'm usually so hard on names.
Yeah, I think non-dairy milk is worse. All right, another great edition of What's Worse. We'll be back tomorrow from La Crosse with an all-new edition of What's Worse. Looking forward to that. We're going to come back, take a couple of quick updates on some serious news headlines, redistricting in Texas, and also the Trump administration decides to nix the 5 things you did this week after this.
Oh, mister, don't touch me tomatoes. Please don't you touch me tomatoes. Touch me from me apple potatoes. Goodness sake, don't you touch me tomatoes. Oh, mister, don't touch me tomatoes. Please don't you touch me tomatoes.
Join the family. Civic Media has a number of great jobs across the state. Open now at civicmedia.us/careers.
Herbal Aspect
That
has
cracks
landed.
me up.
That's right. Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
No more mold, no more damage, no more slipping and hurting. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. BCI Bath and Shower is made in America for the highest quality. First 50 callers save $1,500 on a never-clear glass treated door. BCI Bath and Shower. Interest-free financing options. 800-329-4115. 800-329-4115. 800-329-4115.
Working guys like you and I, regular deodorant just doesn't cut it.
Your government
I don't know. I got to work on a Tom Hartman impression.
You may think racial gerrymandering happened long ago and just in southern states with legacies of suppressing African Americans. Think again. Anti-voter legislatures around the country
Thank you, Connie, for the reminder. I appreciate that. We'll say that.
Retain political power. In addition to recent racial gerrymandering cases involving African Americans in Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, South Carolina, Texas, and Arkansas, there have been multiple racial gerrymandering complaints from Native Americans in North Dakota and Hispanic Americans in Washington State and Texas. To provide equity and representation, the Voting Rights Act Section 2 allows districts of dense populations of minority voters to choose the candidate of their choice. But elected officials continue to evade those rules. South Carolina's legislature split Charleston by moving 30,000 residents from 11 of 12
drank
of the
our milk?
highest concentrations of black voters into another district. In the words of the lower court, bleaching Congressional District 1. Louisiana's population is almost 33% black, but Louisiana's legislature
It is kind of weird when you stop and think about it. So don't stop and think about it.
districts as a majority-minority black district, diluting the rest of their vote. A county in North Dakota elected its commissioners at large to reduce the chance of a Native American candidate being elected. Tomorrow, we'll tell you how some states prohibit gerrymandering and create fair maps. I'm Brian Beal.
Animal enthusiasts, registration is open for Camp Paw Print Summer Break at Dane County Humane Society. Kids ages 7 to 12 enjoy animal interactions, lessons with experts, service projects, art projects, and more.
30 seconds.
Visit giveshelter.org.
Welcome back to the Town Allbaugh Show across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to. A weather update with Brittany Merlot and her team. When will this smoke finally get out of here? She will tell you that. Our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, on location at Lambeau Field, the not quite frozen tundra. A very balmy tundra at Lambeau Field. Clemens will have an update for you. What's the latest on injuries at Packers training camp, and the Milwaukee Brewers looking to continue their hot streak? Number 1 team in baseball in the major leagues right now. A 3-game lead on the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. A reminder, lots of baseball to go. So don't get too hoity-toity, you fellow Brewers fans. We're going to enjoy this, keep the positive vibes going. The Brewers, once again, take on the Atlanta Braves. Pregame show on many of these stations over the air, starting at 5:45 this afternoon. First pitch from Atlanta around 6:15 on many stations, including WRCE in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh, amongst them on the Brewers Radio Network. Again, tomorrow we're going to be coming to you live from La Crosse, Wisconsin, part of the Leader Ethics Fusion Voting Seminar. You can watch this seminar tomorrow for free from 12:30 to 1:30, then join our show at 2. You can watch it by going to leaderethics.us, leaderethics.us, and then join us at 2 o'clock for our show on location in La Crosse, talking about fusion voting, amongst other things. Coming up after the top of the hour news, weather, and sports, it's another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show. Maggie out this week, but have no fear. The wonderful, the talented, the fantastic Matt Rothschild will be in. Is Angela Lang with him today as well? Because I feel bad. I gave Matt all the kudos yesterday, and then it turned out Angela Lang was on it. She's fantastic and wonderful and talented in her own right.
I don't know. I think today might just be Matt.
And that's
Not
enough.
Just Matt.
That's right.
He's
That's
great,
enough.
but yeah.
You don't need anything more than Matt Rothschild. That's plenty. But it'll always be a great show. So tune into Matt Rothschild immediately following our program. And then it's another edition of Nightlight with the equally fantastic and talented Mr. Pete Schwabinator. Pete Schwaba from 6 until 8 tonight on the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, well, I get to a couple of things quickly. First of all, a quick update for you. Great reporter Ed O'Keefe had a chance to meet him last summer when he was out here covering presidential politics at CBS News. Still lots of great reporters left at CBS News. Ed O'Keefe sat down with some of these folks from Texas. State Representative Ann Johnson did an interview with a couple of her colleagues talking about Democrats going to Illinois, amongst other places, to stop, in my opinion, this illegal partisan gerrymandering in Texas to help Donald Trump get 5 more Republican seats next year in the midterm elections. Here is State Representative Ann Johnson talking to CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
You know that Republicans in the state, Republicans out of the state, look at what you guys are doing and thinking you're running away from the fight. You're running away from your jobs by not being in Austin today.
Yeah, no. Abandoning your job is going to Cancun in the middle of a deadly freeze, right? Abandoning your job is cutting health care when people need access. Abandoning your job is cutting public education when we already have one of the worst education systems in the nation. What we are doing is the fundamental protection by our founding fathers in the Texas Constitution that says the minority party has the opportunity to break quorum when you know that the majority has really gone off the rails. The fact that Texas Republicans are willing to sell their soul, sell out their state, and sell out the American people to serve the interest of Donald Trump and give him 5 seats at a time where we know he is afraid of voters voting on his policies next November in 2026. When Donald Trump called Georgia Republicans and said, I just need you to find me 11,000 votes, they said, no, sir, that's a step too far. But when he called Texas Republicans and said, I need you to steal me 5 seats, they said, does July work for you? Well, it doesn't work for us as Texas Democrats. This is not just about our voters. It's about the nation. And it's important for people to know they have threatened us personally. They have threatened our arrest. They have threatened our jobs. They have threatened us. The solution is if we show up today at 3 o'clock and sit and be quiet, then we get to keep ours. But it kills the voice of everybody in this country. And so we won't sit and shut up to have them shut up the voices of voters.
How great is she?
She whipped them into shape.
Ann Johnson, State Representative, Democrat of Texas. Ann Johnson, much too young, Zommers. Texas had a great Democratic governor, Ann Richards, at one time. And this Ann Johnson, boy, she reminds me of her. I mean, she has got it together and can say it plainly. Fantastic job by State Representative Ann Johnson. Again, as someone who wants fair maps, this is a crisis in this country right now. And Democrats in Texas are doing the right thing by delaying this vote as best they can to bring awareness so that Texans know about this and Americans know about this. And I agree with former Senate Majority Leader Democrat Bob Jelk, who was on this show yesterday and said, as much as I hate to say it, I think that Democrats in blue states have to at least consider or threaten to do equally partisan gerrymandering if, keyword if, Texas Republicans go through with this. Because once this is set in stone, if they rig the maps in Texas so Trump can get his 5 more Republicans, they do this other places, look, you can sit there and clutch your pearls and say, "Oh, this is terrible. We want justice. We're going to do the right thing," and you're going to keep doing that until democracy is dead. Sometimes fighting fire with fire is important. Quickly, Reuters reports today the Trump administration formally axes Elon Musk's 5 Things email. Turns out Elon didn't do such a great job with Doggy after all. Great show today. Appreciate Kyle LaFon being here, Zommers as well. All of your calls. Be with us tomorrow live from La Crosse as we'll talk about fusion voting. Stay tuned for Matt Rothschild. Until tomorrow, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.